Hello everyone. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about all of the products from Sephora that I think are the best for people like me who have mature and sensitive skin. So it definitely is the case that most of the products from Sephora are ones that are not appropriate for me and that I have had problems with when I have tried them. And that is the case for many other retailers as well. But there also are a number of products from Sephora that I have done really, really well with. And so I thought that what I would do is to look at each category of makeup and skincare and to talk about the product that I think is the best, and then also to list some runners-up that I also really, really like. And so my hope is that this might give you a few ideas of things that you might be interested in taking a look at before the Sephora sale ends on November 11th. And I have put on my whole makeup look using either the winners or the runners-up in each category, so I can show you some of that footage so you can see what some of these products actually look like as I'm applying them. And so first, a little bit of information about me. I am 60 years old and I have dry and very sensitive skin. And over the past 3 years, I've tried well over 1,000 makeup and skincare products. And so I do have a pretty good basis of comparison for everything that I try. And one thing that I have found is that there are certain ingredients that always do irritate my skin. And I know that those are very irritating ingredients for many other people as well. So I just don't talk about products that contain those ingredients on this channel. But I do want to say that all of the products in this video are ones that I do feel very enthusiastic about and that I do see myself using on a personal basis into the future. So let's talk first about skincare, and so I will start with cleansers. And the first category is the Best Makeup Remover, and the one that I really like from Sephora seems to be out of stock at present. So this is the Pharmacy Honey Vanilla Clean, and this is a makeup remover that I can use without doing a double cleanse that I think does a terrific job. Now this is out of stock at present at Sephora and on the Pharmacy website, but I do really like this product, and it does look like Pharmacy is going to be getting that back in stock eventually. So I am looking forward to that happening. And then other makeup removers that I like that Sephora does carry. I do really like the Take the Day Off from Clinique, and that one is unscented. And then Pharmacy makes another product that is called Clearly Clean, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that product, and it is supposed to be for people with sensitive skin. But the issue that I have with that is that it does not rinse off my skin as easily as the Pharmacy one does, and I do feel like I need to do a second cleanse with that one. It doesn't have, I think, the PEGs in it that help it to rinse off better. So I can use that, and I have used it on occasion, but I really prefer one that rinses off so I don't have to do a second cleanse. And in terms of actual cleansing oils, there is one from Dam Dam that I tried, and I thought that that one was pretty good as well. So with the Pharmacy Cleansing Balm, I mostly just use that if I am removing makeup that tends to be a little bit more stubborn. So if I'm wearing a silicone foundation or a silicone sunscreen or waterproof mascara, something like that, then I will definitely use that. But the rest of the time, if I'm not wearing makeup or if I'm wearing something that's a lot lighter, then I usually just prefer to do a cream cleanser. And unfortunately, I haven't found that many cream cleansers at Sephora that I've really liked. And I do really like this one, but this one is from Augustinus Bader, and it costs more than $70 for this jar. And I do think it's a very nice cleanser. Now, whether or not this is actually worth a lot more than a lot of the other cream cleansers on the market, I'm not sure. So the thing about these Augustinus Bader products is that they are supposed to have a proprietary peptide in them that is supposed to be helping the skin to be healthier and to have less wrinkles. And I do find myself to be a really big fan of Augustinus Bader, but whether or not that particular ingredient would be helpful in a cleanser, because it's obviously that they're not putting in very much of it and you're only leaving it on your skin for a short period of time. So I am not convinced that it is doing that kind of repair work when I use the cleanser. But I do think it is a very nice cleanser, and I've had no problems with it at all, and I would be happy to continue to use that sort of permanently as my main cleanser. Now, there are a couple of cleansers at Sephora that I do really like that are non-cream cleansers that are more like a gel cleanser. So, for instance, the Outset has a cleanser that is like a micellar gel cleanser. And I think that one has been very, very nice. And that one does take off some makeup, not as well as a cleansing balm, but it's been a very nice product for me. It's just not the kind of cleanser that I prefer to use, especially in the winter. I prefer to use something that's a little bit more moisturizing. And there's also a cleanser that I've really liked that is very foamy, that is from Ilia, that I think is called the Cleanse. And that one has been very nice too and very gentle. And I think that especially if my skin were a little bit less dry, that both of those would be perfectly very nice cleansers. Now, in terms of exfoliators, I have 3 different kinds of products that I have listed here. So the first one is from Biossance, and this is called Squalane plus Lactic Acid Resurfacing Night Serum. And this is just a lactic acid serum. It doesn't have any other kinds of chemical exfoliants in it, and it does have some extra moisturizing ingredients, including that squalane. And I like this one because I do feel like I can use it all over my face, and I don't need to thin it down with moisturizer or anything like that. And I do think it's not too harsh on my skin, and that I actually can use it from time to time if I don't use a lot of it or I don't use it too often. I think that my whole face can benefit from this one, and that it has been very nice. And there's no fragrance, obviously, in it. And it's just a product that I have found to be, of the chemical exfoliants that I've tried, to be the most appropriate for my sensitive skin. And then also, Drunk Elephant makes a product that is called Framboise, and I am not always very enthusiastic about Drunk Elephant products. A lot of them do cause real irritation to my skin, but in this case, this one has not been too bad. So at one point, I was using that and mixing it with the moisturizer, and then using it more on my face as sort of like a mask or a light treatment at night, and I think that that was actually a nice thing. But more recently, I have noticed that I've had like a little bit of bumpiness on my chin and along here, and so I have been thinking that maybe that product might be useful for that one. That one's quite a bit stronger. That one has glycolic acid and also a little bit of BHA in it, and I do feel like that has been gentle enough. It hasn't been irritating, and as long as I'm just using it in this area here, I think it has been fine for me. So I think if you need a little bit more exfoliating, that could be one to try, and I haven't found that one to be annoying to my skin at all. And then the third one is from the Outset, and that is a physical exfoliant, and it has a mineral called perlite in it, and so it's supposed to be little tiny pieces of perlite, but they are spherical shaped, and so therefore they are not real rough on the skin, and they don't cause little micro tears. And I have found that that is a very nice product for my face, and I also sometimes use it on my hands. And as physical exfoliants go, I think that one's the best one on the market. And then for Best Day Moisturizer, the one that I like the most is also from the Outset, and this is called the Nourishing Squalane Daily Moisturizer. So this one I really do like very, very much. I do use it as a day moisturizer if I'm not going to be putting on a lot of makeup that I need a really good base for. And I also will use it in the evening or during the winter if I put a little bit of face oil into it. I think it works really nicely with that. And I also, on occasion, will mix this with a heavier foundation. And I think that that can work really well also in terms of taking a heavier foundation that I ordinarily wouldn't be that interested in wearing it, making it more like a tinted moisturizer. I think that this is a really good product to use that for. And then there's a couple of other products that I have liked as day moisturizers that are sold at Sephora. So the first one is a gel moisturizer from Biossance, and that one does have some probiotics in it, and I think that that has been a very nice light moisturizer for me. And Charlotte Tilbury just released this past year a water cream, and so I picked up a small jar of that, and I think it is a perfectly nice product, and my skin did really like it quite a bit. Now, this is a more expensive product. 1.7 ounces is $100, so I don't know that I'm going to ever be buying that. I think that is an awfully expensive thing, and most products from Charlotte Tilbury, I think, are quite expensive. But in terms of the quality of the product itself, I did really, really like that one. And then an even more expensive product is the one that I have been trying recently from Dr. Barbara Sturm. So the one that I've tried recently is called the Anti-Aging Face Cream, and I think that that one is light enough that it works during the day and also in the evening. And I haven't tried anything from Dr. Barbara Sturm that I haven't felt my face has done pretty well with, and this one I think is very nice. I definitely think if we remove price as a consideration that this is one of the best products that I have tried, but it is very expensive. And then as a night moisturizer, I have been really liking this Alpine Beauty Super Peptide and Ghosteberry Barrier Repair Cream. This is a really clean cream, and I bought this last winter, I think, and I used pretty much this whole jar, and they did offer to send me a new jar. This one I did pay for, and I've never gotten anything for free from Alpine Beauty before, and I don't have any other kind of relationship with them. But they did offer to send me a jar of this cream again, so I was happy about that because I do really, really like it. And then a few other richer creams from Sephora that I have really liked. There's one from Biossance that I think is particularly nice that is called the Squalane and a Mega Repair Cream. I think that that one has been quite good for me. And I also have liked the Drunk Elephant Bora Barrier Cream. I think that that one has been really terrific. And there is also one that is from Japan that is called Dam Dam Moki Moki Luminous Cream, I guess. And that one is also a nice product that I did enjoy and that I would be interested in buying again. And then in terms of eye creams, I have decided that as an eye cream, I would like one that has some bakuchiol in it, which is supposed to be helpful for wrinkles. And I would like one that has some caffeine in it because it is supposed to be helpful for puffiness. And I have found that since I have started to use these kinds of night creams that my eye area has looked nice even before I started using the Augustinus Butter Cream on it. And so one product that has both of those ingredients in it and that is very gentle and that doesn't have anything irritating in it and that I do think is a very nice eye cream for the evening hours is the Alpine Beauty Plant Genius Line Filling Eye Balm. So I've gone through 2 or 3 jars of this that I have purchased, and I do think that this has been a very nice product for me. And then Alpine Beauty also has a product that is, I think, designed to be a daytime eye cream. So it has a pretty strong pink color to it, and it is supposed to be like a color corrector for your eye area. And it also is a little bit less rich. And then Biossance also has an eye cream, and I have picked up a lot of products from Biossance, mostly buying them on their website rather than from Sephora. And I have also liked their eye cream. I think that in general their products have been surprisingly good for me. And Dr. Barbara Sturm again has an eye cream, and that is called the Super Anti-Aging Eye Cream, and I have been using that over the past several weeks since I have started experimenting with the Dr. Sturm products that I have managed to pick up. And I think that that is a very nice eye cream. I am not convinced that that one is better or even necessarily as good as that Alpine Beauty one, and it is very expensive, but I do think it's a nice cream. And then the Outset also has a product that is supposed to be helpful with wrinkles and under the eyes, and that is called the Smoothing Vitamin C Cream, and that has been fairly nice also. I wouldn't mind using that one again. And next we have hydrating serums, and this is one of my favorite product categories, or the one that I think is the most important for me. And I have tried a whole bunch of different ones, and I have really liked many different ones as long as they don't have any ingredients in them that are irritating. My skin does seem to like them. And so recently I've been experimenting with the Dr. Barbara Sturm products, and if Dr. Barbara Sturm is known for one thing, it would be this hyaluronic acid serum. And so I've been trying a few of the different serums that contain that. So I have a whole bunch of little bottles that are about equivalent to a whole ounce of the product for the whole face. And then I also picked up this one, which is called the Super Anti-Aging Eye Serum. And this is a smaller bottle. It's maybe 2/3 of an ounce, and it's about the same price as an ounce of the hyaluronic acid serum, which is like $300, which is really crazy. But I do think that this is a very nice product, and I have used this mostly in the eye area. And this is a bottle that is 0.1 ounces, but I have like 10 of these little bottles, so I've been using this for the past few weeks. And I am a little bit sorry to say that I do really, really like this product. Now, one thing that I will mention is that I have been mixing these products into whatever cream I am using. And I find that as long as I'm not using a cream that has silicones in it, then I think that it works well as a mix-in. And so at Sephora, the other products that I have liked that I think of is hydrating serums. There is one from Alpine Beauty again that is called the Firming Serum, and so that does have a few other ingredients in it other than just hyaluronic acid, and I always feel like my skin is doing really well when I put that on. And another product that I really like is the one from the Outset, which is called the Firming Collagen Serum. And that one actually contains an alternative to hyaluronic acid, which is they're calling Hyalurosette, and it is from a natural flower. And I think that that one feels really good to me, and my skin likes that one at least as much as these others. And one of the products that I like that is from Drunk Elephant is their Hydration Serum. I think that that one seems to be fine, and I don't think that has been noticeably irritating to my skin. And really the only product from Glossier that's in the skincare category that I have actually really liked is their Hyaluronic Acid Serum. Now, whether or not that is as good as some of these others, I'm not sure. It is called Super Bounce, and it's a little bit less expensive, but I did easily go through the whole jar of that I purchased, and I wouldn't mind using that again. So if you want something that's a little bit less expensive, then that could be an option. And then I put one category in here that is called Best Anti-Aging Skincare, and for that one I have Augustinus Bader. So my most popular video of all of 2024 has been the video where I tried on the Augustinus Bader cream on half of my face for a whole year and then showed the results, and a lot of people seem to think it made a difference, and I think it made a difference too. So since then I have been using that product on both halves of my face, and I do think that my face really likes this. And when I look at videos from even a year and a half ago before I started using this, I do think that I look better now, and that this is actually a product that seems to be helpful to me. So even though it is very, very expensive, I have continued to use this, and I think I will continue to do that. And then in terms of primers, I have 3 different kinds of products to talk about. So the one that I have really used the most, really on a regular basis, is from Ilia. This came out this year, and it is called the Base Face Milk. So it is a light lotion type of a product, and it has sodium hyaluronate and some other ingredients in this that I think provide a nice little tacky surface on my skin that is really appropriate to put makeup over it. So it does work pretty well as a base, and I think it also provides a little bit of protection from whatever else I put on it. So therefore, if something in my makeup is a little bit irritating in terms of the foundation, for instance, then this does seem to help a little bit and to make it not quite as irritating for my skin. So I do like that about it, and I think it might make the makeup last a little bit longer, and I do think it definitely prevents my skin from absorbing blush and eating the blush so that there's no color left a little bit better. And then a new product that I have been using as it turns into winter is from Merit, and that one is a thicker cream, and it is called the Great Skin Priming Moisturizer. And so I think that that one is a cream that I really want to use when my skin is feeling really dry, but it's the day and I want to put a little bit of makeup over it, then that is a really good product to use for that purpose. And then in terms of regular primers that are like silicone primers, there is one from Fashion Fair, and I think that that is a very nice silicone primer that is performs really well. I've tried a variety of different kinds of silicone type makeup over it, or other kinds of makeup. And it is also one that I feel like I can get off my face relatively easily if I just use a makeup remover oil or cleansing balm. And I don't feel like I have to fight with it the way that I do some kinds of primers or some kinds of silicone foundations. And then in terms of color correctors, I feel like this is a really important part of my makeup routine because I do have pretty strong dark circles under my eyes. And so if I use a product that is kind of on the peachy side or the peachy pink side, that I do feel like that will cover over a lot of those dark circles and then allow me to wear less concealer and therefore allow me to have less emphasis on my wrinkles and texture. So the one that I like the most that is sold at Sephora is the Bobbi Brown Skin Color Corrector, and this comes in a stick, and I have gone through multiple sticks in the past, and this is one of my favorite products. And I do like the fact that this is a hydrating product that I can just smear on, and then I can just rub it with my fingers, and then I'm done. And I don't need to necessarily use an eye cream or anything in advance. And I think this one has been very nice. And then this past year, the company Caloray came out with a line of liquid concealers that are called Hideaway. And so that comes in a variety of different shades also. And I think that that one works surprisingly well for me. And the next category is cream concealers, and I do feel like I usually still use cream concealers if I am trying to cover over whatever kind of issues I might have going on in my face. And the one that I do think I have liked the best is the Tom Ford concealer. Now this is a fairly small amount of product, and it is quite expensive. The price is $60. And I purchased this one last year, and I did think that that was my favorite. And I have used most of it, but there's still some in here. But I do think that this one is probably my favorite concealer of all, whether or not we're talking a liquid or cream. And I think that this one really disappears into my face, and it looks very elegant, and it doesn't require any setting, which I also really like. And then the other products from Sephora that are cream concealers that I have liked, I do like the Bobbi Brown one, which comes in a little stick. I think that that one has been fine. And Merit has a concealer stick that I think this one is very similar to the Tom Ford one in terms of how it performs. Actually, I don't think that it is quite as nice, but in terms of the texture of the product and not needing to set it and looking very natural and kind of blending in really nicely, I think that that one has been really terrific for me, and I am really happy that they came out with a bunch of new shades, and I do feel like there's finally a good shade for me, and so I've been using that one a little bit more. And then Westman Atelier has a foundation stick, and I would definitely not put that foundation stick all over my whole face. I have to really be very selective in terms of putting it on very small areas of my face, and then I do like it when I do that. Now, I do think that if I put on too much of it, like in my under eye area, or especially in this area over here, that it can emphasize the texture issues on my face, so I just have to be real judicious with it. And now for liquid concealers, you know, in the past there really weren't any liquid concealers that I wanted to use at all on my face because they were emphasizing the texture and making my wrinkles look worse. Now, very frequently I would use liquid concealers as an eyelid primer, and I do think that some of them, the more gentle ones, were perfectly fine for that. I did like it used in that way, but in terms of using it on my face, I never had success until this past summer. And now there are 3 new concealers on the market, and all 3 of these have been really, really good. So the first one that took me a while to realize was the Say Slip Tint Concealer. And this one I used as an eyelid primer, and I thought it was very nice, and then occasionally I would use it on my face, and I've been really surprised at how nicely this one has worked. And so that is the one that I used in the video footage today as an eyelid primer. And I think that this one is a pretty good deal, especially that it's not really, really expensive. And it's really my favorite product from Say, and really the first one that I've been really enthusiastic about. And then the 2 other products that were released this year that are quite expensive, but that I do think have also been very good. First of all, there is this Sarah Creel concealer, and this one has been very, very nice for me. And it's been really hard for me to decide which of these 3 is the best, so I kind of arbitrarily gave the award to the Sarah Creel one, but I do think that these others are very good too. I think that this is just a good general purpose concealer, and it is expensive, but you do get a lot of the product in this container. And then the third one that I really liked is this one from Westman Atelier, and this one is a good bit more pigmented than those other 2, and I think that you don't need to use very much of it at all. So at first when I used this, I was using sort of the same amount as I was using of those other concealers, and what I found with this one was that it was starting to emphasize the texture, so I was kind of disappointed. But then I realized that if I used a lot less of it, it was still doing doing a really good job covering everything, and it wasn't emphasizing my texture. And all of these 3 products are ones that I have used very frequently on their own without putting on any other additional foundation with them, and that I don't even think necessarily need any powder to go with them. And then as eyelid primers, I also am willing to use the House Labs concealer, and I also am willing to use the Say Hydra Beam concealer. I think that the Say Hydra Beam may be a fairly similar formula to the Say Slip Tint one, or it does perform kind of the same. The only issue with that one is that it does have a bit of a glow to it, so it is one that I think is nice to put on my eyelids. It's actually nice to have a little bit of a shimmery base on my eyelids. I don't mind that at all. But in terms of using it on the rest of my face, I'm not sure I like little pieces of shimmer in places that I am trying to cover up. And then in terms of skin tints, there were 3 of them at Sephora that I think are worth mentioning and that I do use from time to time. So the first one is the Hourglass Veil. And this is a product that does not include silicones, surprisingly, and it is kind of remarkable how well this product does perform, considering that it doesn't have silicones in it. And it has been a very nice product in terms of holding up really well on my skin and looking really nice. And I do think that compared to most of the skin tints out there, this one performs a little bit more like a foundation. It does offer a small amount of coverage, and the way that it performs actually looks really good on my skin. And then last year also, Danessa Myricks released a skin tint that is called the Yummy Skin Skin Tint, and that one is actually really nice on my skin too. Now that one is a silicone-based foundation product or skin tint product, and I think that that one is very nice. And then a third skin tint is the one from Glossier, and that one I think provides almost no coverage at all, but I do think that it is a very nice product in terms of improving the texture of the skin, so I think that it makes my skin look more even, and it makes it look a little bit prettier and less dry, and it does have a lot of silicone in it, so that's basically like putting a layer of silicone on your face. But that one actually does work very nicely for me, and I think that a lot of other women who are getting older have really liked that one because it is not emphasizing their wrinkles and it's actually providing some blur instead. But you may need to use a concealer with that one because it is not going to be offering much coverage at all. And then in terms of foundations, I decided to split these up into silicone foundations and then non-silicone foundations because that's kind of how I think about it. So in terms of non-silicone foundations, the one that I've actually been using quite a bit recently as I've been trying it out and that I do really, really like is the one from Patrick Ta, which is called the Major Skin Foundation. And this one I think has been really, really nice, and that is the one that I put on today. And I think that it does provide a lot of moisturizing benefits to my skin, and it doesn't really dry down, so I do have to be careful with this one, and I do need to put some kind of a setting spray on the top of it, or at least a good powder, and if I do that, I think it's actually really pretty. And I think that probably, especially for women who are getting a bit older, this one might be especially appropriate. And certainly that has been the case for me. I think it's been quite blurring of my wrinkles. And why don't we take a little look at this and see how it is holding up today. And I think that it's been doing pretty well. And in general, this is the first time that I've really put it on camera. And I think that it's actually a very nice product. Now, when I look at the areas on my face that have more likely to have like little pores, I think it's not quite as good for that as it is for wrinkles. But for me, that is not quite such a big issue. That is a really minor issue as compared to how bad my face can look if this is really emphasizing wrinkles. And I don't think that this one is doing that at all. I think it's actually serving as a nice blur. And it does feel good on my skin. It's not irritating at all. It is a little bit pricey, but I think that for a really good foundation that it might be worth it. And then another product that's sold by Sephora that a lot of people do really like is the NARS Light Reflecting Foundation. And I do think that that has been a really good foundation for me as well. I think that it tends to work better for me if I thin it down a little bit with a little bit of moisturizer. I think it's a little bit on the heavier side than what I prefer. But even if I just put it straight on my skin, in that case it gives an awfully lot of coverage. And I still don't think it's emphasizing my wrinkles very much. And so especially since that doesn't have silicone in it, I'm really impressed by that product. And then in terms of the silicone foundations at Sephora, the one that I have really liked the most over the past couple years is this one from House Labs. So this is called the Triclone Foundation, and I think that this does look really, really nice on my skin. It goes on very, very thin, and it provides a fair amount of coverage, but I don't think that it is emphasizing the look of my wrinkles at all, and I think it is very dependable, and it holds up really well. And it also has the advantage of coming in a lot of different shades. And so I did find a shade that I think is really, really good for me. The one that I seem to do best with is shade 100. And so as long as you go to Sephora, I think that most people should be able to find a good shade for them. I think that if you try to purchase the product based on the descriptions, that you might get kind of confused because they are suggesting that yellow is a cool color and red is a warm color, and that is backwards from how most people think of this, and so therefore you can end up with something that is really off if you don't actually try it on in person, I think. But other than that, I really do like this foundation very much. And then another product that I also really like is the Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Foundation. And that one I think is especially appropriate for older women too. And I think that the reason for that is because it provides kind of a plumping look on the face. So I think it's a little bit similar to, for instance, the Jones Road foundation, in that if you put this on, and when I put this on my face, I feel like it takes maybe 5 years off without my doing anything else at all. And I think that as you get older, that your face gets a little more gaunt, and so therefore that can be really aging, and this seems to erase some of those effects. I don't think that that foundation has enough shades. I'd have to mix 2 shades in order to get something that I think is very good for me. And it also is one of those products that it's kind of sticky when you put it on, and so a lot of people don't necessarily like that. But I think that it is so pretty that I have been willing to put up with it. And as I have used more powders or now setting sprays, I think it behaves a lot better. So the Jones Road powder has been very nice with that foundation, and now I think that these setting sprays are also really helpful with it. So therefore I've become more enthusiastic about it, and it really is pretty much edging up towards that House Labs foundation. And I think that the Pat McGrath foundation has been nice for me too. I think that it's quite similar in terms of how I use it to the House Labs foundation, and I do like the House Labs foundation a little bit more, but I think that the Pat McGrath one is very nice too. Now that one does have alcohol in the first few ingredients, and so some people might find that to be an issue. I feel like if my skin is in good enough shape, that alcohol is not too bad for it, but that is pretty high up on the ingredient list. And then the newest product is from Huda, and that one is getting a lot of attention from different people, and I did try that one, and I do like it on me as well. I think that that is a nice product. Now, setting sprays is a category that is really new for me, so I have never found a setting spray in the past that I felt like it actually did anything that made it worth using, and also that did not irritate my skin. And so therefore I had just omitted setting sprays in the past, but very recently there have been a couple of products that have been released that I actually do really like, and that I think the formulas are very good. So the one that I've been using recently and that I used for this makeup look is this one from Makeup by Mario. And the one from NARS I think is quite similar, but that one I've just been having a little bit of problem with the spray nozzle. So I'm not sure if I can fix that or if I need to transfer that product into a different bottle. But in any case, I think that that's actually a really good product too. And so I am really glad that I can use a setting spray now, particularly when I am using a foundation that tends to be more on the more luminous side. If it tends to be a little bit wet and not dried down, then I think a setting spray can help a lot with that. And then in terms of setting powders, I have several different ones listed here, and I feel like different setting powders have different purposes, and so all of these are ones that I do use for different things. So in terms of a general purpose setting powder that I can really use over a variety of different kinds of makeup to take down shine or a little bit to take down wetness or moisture, is the Kosas setting powder, the Cloud Set powder, and I have used this quite a lot of this product, and I think that this has worked remarkably well with a really wide variety of different kinds of foundations. And one that I purchased recently is the Makeup by Mario setting powder. So this is a loose powder, and I have found this one to be particularly nice when it comes to a product that has a bit more oil in it. So I think that this might be good for people who have sort of oilier skin, but it also is the case that if I put this on over an oilier foundation, like for instance the Makeup by Mario foundation or this new Patrick Ta foundation, I think that it has worked very nicely. And I do think that in general that is a very quality product in terms of how finely it is milled and how nicely it has gone on my skin and sort of disappeared. I think it's been very pretty. This product by Pat McGrath is supposed to be an under eye powder, and I will use it for that, but I really don't want to use two different kinds of powder. So I really mostly pull this out when I don't have much of an issue on my face, and my face is just a little bit shiny in certain spots, and so I will just use this powder for my face in general in those circumstances. And I do think that this is a very, very finely milled powder, and that it does look very nice on my skin. And then I think the same thing is also the case with this Westman Atelier powder. Now this one is very, very expensive, but the reason is because it is in this very, very expensive metal case that is like a paperweight. And so I have this product, and I have it in the shade Creme, and I do think it's very, very pretty. And when I use it, I do really like it, but it's kind of hard to justify this price as far as I'm concerned. But it is a lovely little compact, and so if you feel like carrying around something that's kind of heavy in your purse, this is a very nice thing to pull out. And the powder itself is a very, very good quality powder, so it is pleasant to use if I don't have a lot of setting and I just have a little bit of shine to take down. And then there's a powder from Laura Mercier that I actually do like, and that one is has a really long name, but it's called like the Real Flawless something foundation, and I really do like that one. It is one that has a little bit of a shimmer in it, and so I tend to use it more sort of as I would a finishing powder, just to give a little bit of shimmer and life to my face. But I don't feel like it's a very strong shimmer, and I feel like if I just put it on my face and then I go out, I don't think it's calling any attention to itself. Or people have been asking me why I have glitter on my face. I don't think it looks like glitter, but it does have a little bit of shimmer in it. Now, in terms of bronzers, I am really, really picky about the color, because what I am trying to do is to achieve a tan that looks really, really natural in terms of what my skin would look like if I actually were tan. And I have found that most of the bronzers that are out there are not the right color for me, and I actually did a whole video on what colors different kinds of bronzers, and I have like 50 different ones. So in terms of Sephora, there are a lot of bronzers that I wouldn't use because they don't come in the right color. But the one that I have liked the most is the YSL bronzer. Now, I'm not that crazy about this packaging. I know a lot of people really, really like the packaging. But I do think that in terms of the formula for this product, it does look very natural on my skin. It's a little bit hydrating, and it looks really pretty, and the colors work really well on my skin. And I actually have two different shades. So I have this shade, which is 01, and then I have this shade, which is 02, and I put on 01 today just because it's moving towards winter, and so I didn't want a really bronzy type of a look. But I think that both of these shades do work really nicely on me. And all that I am doing with a bronzer like this, I'm not trying to sculpt anything. I'm just applying a really diffuse layer on the top half of my face, and then helping the bottom half of my face just a little bit, and then putting some on my neck so that I actually look like I just have a really natural tan without there being contouring or sculpting. And then of the other products that Sephora sells, the other bronzers that I might be willing to use if I really wanted to bronze myself and I didn't have any other options, both of the ones from Fenty, the cream version and the powder version, both of those do have shades that I think would be appropriate for me, and I think that both of those are actually nice products. So of the Fenty products that I've tried, that really is the top of the heap for me as far as I'm concerned. And then there also is a product from Rare Beauty, and again, this is a product line that I haven't found much in it that I've really liked, but I do really like their bronzer stick. And so if I'm going to use a bronzer stick, that is a nice one to choose. But you can look at all of the other products that at Sephora that I would consider, except that they don't seem to be in the right shades for me. And so if there are shades that are appropriate for what you're trying to accomplish or for your skin tone, then I think that any of these products might be okay. Now, in terms of powder blush, I wouldn't have thought this was going to be the case, but I have actually really liked the Kosas blush. I think this has been a really terrific formula. And in terms of how it looks when I put it on, and in terms of the experience of putting it on, I think it's been a really nice blush for me, and it has held up really well. And I think it's interesting that these all have two different colors in them. Some I think are more tilted towards being a little bit darker or brighter than others in terms of the mix of the colors that you happen to get in the version that you receive. But I've had a little bit of variation in the 3 shades that I've purchased, and I think that I've been able to make all of them work really easily. Now, it is the case with these blushes that it seems like there are some shades that are specifically designed for darker skin or for people that want a brighter makeup look, and then there are half the shades that are really designed more for people that are looking for a look that's a lot more muted. And so I decided to buy all 4 of the blushes that look like they would be a little bit more muted, and not to try to fight with the others as well. And so I'm really grateful to them for that, for creating 8 different sorts of blushes that are in different levels in terms of cool versus warm, and also in terms of there being different shades for different skin tones or different makeup preferences. And then other powder blush that is available from Sephora. I do really like the House Labs formula for their powder blushes, and so that is why I was interested in buying another one. But it also is the case that those are very pigmented blushes, and that once I put them on my skin, it's a little bit hard to calm them down if I put on too much. So those are a little bit of a fight for me. I think that if you are a person that really likes a more pigmented blush and that you're looking for a brighter makeup look, or if you have darker skin, then you might really love these. And for me, I just wish that they would introduce some new colors. NARS reformulated their blush this year, and they took out the talc, and the formula seems like it is performing just about the same. And I really like the colors that they have available in that, and I think that the formula is also very nice and performs quite well. But in terms of colors, if you're interested in an unusual type of a color or a color that's really on point, I think that some of these NARS blushes are really terrific. So that is why I really like them. And I think that the Pat McGrath blush is actually very nice also, and that does come in some really interesting colors, including one that is very muted. And I also like the way that this product looks in the container, but it does have talc in it, so that is something to know about that product in case you are concerned about talc. And then there's also a Natasha Denona blush that is actually a very nice little blush. It has 3 different shades of blush all in one tiny little container, and it's only $20. And I think that if I needed to pick up a blush from Sephora to use, that would be a good one to pick up, and I would be perfectly happy with it. It is a little bit shimmery though. And then for cream blush, I do think that hands down my favorite is the Westman Atelier Baby Cheeks. And I have all of the shades of these, including the mini that is in their new holiday kit. And I have really liked all of these, and I think that I'm able to actually wear all of these shades, and that they do hold up reasonably well on my cheeks, and they blend in nice, and they are just really a pleasure to use. And it also is the case that I have had some of these for probably almost 3 years, and none of them seem to have gone bad, and they're not getting too dried up, and they're not smelling bad, and they're continuing to perform. So even though they are really expensive right off the bat, at least they do hold up for me, and I have gotten a lot of use and a lot of kind of pleasant use out of using them. And then the other cream blush from Sephora that I really like the House Labs blushes. In terms of their texture, they have a lot of hydrating capacity to them, and they almost give like a glowy type of a highlight in terms of their kind of a glassy type of look to them. And so I really do like that, but they are very, very pigmented. And so it is a little bit more pigmented than I would usually like. Now the saving grace is that they do blend really easily and that they are kind of translucent. And so even if I use a blush that is a little bit brighter than I ordinarily would want to use, I can make it work. And of course, if you're looking for a bright blush, then you may find that to be a positive. And then I also like the Merit Blush Balms. I think that those are very pretty, and these have a little bit of that translucent type of a quality to them as well. And so I've been able to use all of the shades, and again, they give me just a little bit of a hint of color that doesn't have to be really bright. And then I also have really liked the Pat McGrath blush. And what I did find out recently is that that has a little bit of a fragrance ingredient that's called ethylene bromellate in it. And this is a fragrance ingredient that smells like musk that was invented by DuPont in the 1940s. And that is an ingredient that really, really bothered me in the Victoria Beckham concealer. And so I was a little bit surprised to realize that these blush from Pat McGrath has that in it, because I had never really noticed that it had a scent before. And when I smelled it up close, it did have a little bit of that scent, but I think it's so light that it never bothered me, whereas the Victoria Beckham concealer did give me a headache. And so I feel like I'm going to continue to use that Pat McGrath blush, and I do think that it performs really well and that it has a lot of hydrating type ingredients in it that make it look really pretty on my skin. And they do have some really pretty colors in that one, and I think it's really overlooked in terms of the products that are available from Pat McGrath or at Sephora. And then in terms of liquid blush, I really like this Charlotte Tilbury Matte Beauty Blush Wand, and I have this in the color Pillow Talk, and I think that this is a very nice product in terms of how easily it goes on my skin and how natural it looks, and also how well it holds up. So there are a lot of blush that disappear from my face really quick, and this is not one of them. I feel like if I put this one on, that I don't feel like I need to think that my skin is going to be blush free. And then if I want to put on something else in addition to that, then that's fine, but this one does hold up very, very nicely, and it always did look really nice. And then there's some other liquid blush. Liquid blush seems to be really popular these days. So I have one of the Armani Luminous Silk Cheek Tints, and I think that that one is actually really nice. The more that I use that one, the more I've liked it. I've liked the Glossier Cloud Paints for quite a while. I'm not that crazy about needing to put them on with my fingers or with a brush, but I do like the way that they look on my skin. They sort of blend in to the point that they're kind of a watercolor type of a look, and so therefore I can really use any of the colors, and I think they all look really pretty on me. And I also think that the Rare Beauty blushes, they're very, very pigmented, but they blend so easily that I think I can actually use those. And then Say also has a line of liquid blushes, and I think that their products are very nice also. Now, dewy highlighters are one of my favorite categories. I would like to be able to use the Jones Road Miracle Balm, but that does have a lot of essential oil in it, so I have found some other products that I've really liked. So I do really like the Westman Atelier sticks. So I have this one in the color Brulee, which gives kind of a tanned look to my face, like a rosy type of a tan or slightly sunburned. And then I also use this one, which I was able to purchase in a little mini. And this one is a color that's more like a peachy type of a color that I think also goes really well with my skin tone. And then there are a few more products that I think also give me sort of this same kind of a look. So Goop has a product that is called the Color Blur Balms that do act like a blush, but they also have a lot of that glowy type of look, and they don't have any fragrance at all. And I have really, really liked that one quite a lot, and the price is not even that unreasonable. And It Cosmetics has a product that is called Sun Blush that I thought was very nice on my skin. And then there's a company I had never really focused on them before at all that is called Peter Thomas Roth, which has a collagen bounce stick. And I think that one's also been very nice. And then in terms of shimmery highlighters, the one that I really like is actually the Charlotte Tilbury foundation stick. So this is obviously not a foundation stick at all. There's no way that I think that anyone should put it all over their face. And you certainly don't want to use it as a spot concealer. But in terms of acting as a highlighter, I think that this one is terrific. And I really like the fact that I'm able to find one in my skin tone and that it really just disappears on my face and just gives a tiny little bit of a shimmer. I think that that is really lovely, and it is very, very expensive as a highlighter, but I do really, really like it. And then the other highlighters that I like that are at Sephora, Charlotte Tilbury also makes a line of beauty light wands, and those are basically similar to the matte beauty blush wands, but they have a little bit of shimmer in them, or in some cases a lot of shimmer. And so those are very pretty. And then there's also a product that I talked about several videos ago when I was talking about Sarah Creel, which is a Dior palette that has 4 different kinds of highlighters that is called the Backstage Glow Face Palette. I do really like that one. And Westman Atelier has a line that is called the Super Loaded Tinted Highlighters that I also think are very nice. Now that one does have a little bit of a scent to it. It's listed as being a flavor, and I have not found it to be really objectionable, but you might want to try to smell it before you commit to it. In terms of brow pencils, I really like the Kosas Brow Pop Pencil. I use this in the shade Taupe, and I have been using this for several years, and I think this is not performing as well as it used to, so I did order a new one of these in the Credo sale, and so I am looking forward to breaking out a new one of these. Other products at Sephora that I think are good substitutes would be the Ilia Brow Pencil and also the OG Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Wiz product. I think both those are okay also. And so what I almost always do if I'm using a brow pencil is to use that in conjunction with a brow gel, because what I have found is that my brow hairs are so light that they really don't show up at all. And if I just use a pencil, that does not look very natural. So if I fill in with the pencil and then I darken the hairs that I actually do have with the brow gel, then that makes it look almost like they're real brows. And so the brow gel from Sephora that I like is the Kosas Brow Gel. And again, I have this in the shade Taupe. And I just have a little mini that I'm using in the video footage, but I did buy a new one of these from Credo as well. And then a product that also I have used from Sephora is the one from Merit. And I think that that one is also okay, but I do think the Kosas one is much better. Now, in terms of larger eyeshadow palettes, I have really liked the Natasha Denona formula, and so there are several palettes that I have purchased from her. I really liked the I Need a Nude palette like everyone else, and I also have the Golden palette, and I have this new palette that I'm using in the video footage and that I have on my eyes now, and this one is called I Need a Warm that I just picked up. And I do really like this one. This one seems to be particularly well suited to my complexion, and so I think I will be getting a lot of use out of this. Now, all of these palettes from Natasha Denona do have 1 or 2 or 3 shades that have aluminum powder in them, and so that is something that does irritate my eyes. But it is good that with these palettes you can pop out the shades that you don't like and put in a different shade, and so that is my goal long term, is to take these out, and in the meantime I'm just remembering which shades have the aluminum powder in them so I can avoid them. And in this palette the only shade is this one, which is called Homey. But in general, I find that with the Natasha Denona palettes that I have, that I always do get a very nice eyeshadow look that looks good on me, regardless of how much attention I'm paying to it or how hard I'm working. And in terms of the Makeup by Mario products, I haven't really liked their all matte palettes. I feel like those went on in a way that is very pigmented. That was a little bit hard for me to use, so I didn't actually end up buying that. But I do like their new palette, which is called the Ethereal Eyes Moonlight Palette. I think that that one has been very nice, and I'm working on a video on that to come out soon. And then Dior has a palette that is called the Smoky Essentials palette, which is actually a lot of the same sorts of colors that are in the Ethereal Eyes Moonlight palette. And I think that that one is very nice also. And then Pat McGrath has aluminum powder in most of her large palettes, the motherships, and a lot of those also have Teflon in them, so I'm definitely avoiding that. But the most recent ones, 10 and 11, those do not have any aluminum powder in them, and I feel like they're kind of on the pigmented side, but I do think that they are quality shadows, and I haven't had any irritation from either of those two. And then in terms of small eyeshadow palettes, one of my favorite makeup products of all are these YSL quads. And the reason is because I feel like the formula for these eyeshadows is so extraordinary that they blend really, really easily and they look really, really pretty. And I do like the color combinations in all of these as well. And I think that these are really, really pretty. And I have never found an eyeshadow that it performs anything like these. But there are some other small palettes from Sephora that I've really liked. So there are certain Natasha Denona of their minis that don't have any aluminum powder in them, and I have a couple of those, and they have performed really well for me. And I think that it's very nice because they're so small and they don't require a lot of decisions, and the color combinations and the quality of the formulas is really, really nice. And Kaja makes these little eye bentos that come with 3 different colors, and I've tried a few of those, and I've really, really liked them. And then Pat McGrath makes some eyeshadow quads that are available at Sephora, so I made a list of the ones that don't include any aluminum powder in them. And there are a couple of these that I have. I have the Bronze Borealis, I think it's called, and also the Venus in Fleurs one, and I think that those are actually both really pretty. I really like both of those. And then finally, Urban Decay makes a line of moon dust shadows, which are basically like eyeshadow toppers. And I purchased a palette of those last year, and I did really like it. And they have another palette of those available this year that I would pick up if I didn't already have the one from last year. And then in terms of eyeshadow singles, I think I'm going to have to give it to the NARS eyeshadow sticks. So these came out this year, and there's a limited number of colors, and there's really only 3 shades that I think are appropriate for me. But in general, I think that these have performed really well for me, and they haven't caused me any problems, and they go on nicely, and they stay on forever. And so they're only matte formulas so far, and I am hoping that they will come out with some more shades of these because they do perform really well. In terms of eyeliners, I think that the Laura Mercier ones and the Calorie ones, that they are virtually identical and they perform the same. And I guess of the two, I will give it to the Laura Mercier one just because they have more shades. So I wish that Calorie would come out with a few more shades. They only have 3. But in general, I really like this formula because it goes on nicely. It hasn't irritated my eyes. It is a formula that I can smudge out a little bit right away, but then it will set and last really all day. So I really like that about it. And the other pencil eyeliners from Sephora that I like the Bobbi Brown gel eyeliner pencils. I think that those are still really, really good. And I also like the Kulfi ones, which is a twist-up pencil, as is the Bobbi Brown one. And then I also think that the Merit Solo Shadows work really well as eyeliner. You do need to buy their little brush number 2, but I have really liked it for that purpose. I haven't really liked those all that much as eyeshadows, but for eyeliner, I think that they are very nice products. Now, those do have a 6-month usage life, and some of them did dry out after a year or so for me. And in terms of mascara, the one that I really, really like is from Westman Atelier. This is called the I Want You Mascara, and I think that this has performed so well for me. It goes on without any problem at all, and I think that it doesn't provide me with spidery type lashes. It just looks like it's a much better version of natural lashes, and it wears really well, and I have really liked this very, very much. And it does come in a brown brown color, and that is what I really like to wear is brown mascara. So I'm really grateful to them for creating a brown mascara. So if I could afford it, I would use that one all the time, but $45 a month or every 2 months for mascara is pretty steep. And so some of the other mascaras from Sephora that I really like. I like the Calorie mascara, and I especially like that because it is available in minis, but that is a tubing mascara. And I also think that the Merit tubing mascara is pretty good. And then I also, in terms of other brown mascaras that are at Sephora, there's a Tower 28 one that is available in brown, and the Say 101 mascara is also available in brown. And those formulas are okay as far as I'm concerned. In terms of lip liners, the Tom Ford lip liner, I picked up one of those and did a video, and I think this is a really nice lip liner, but it is $45, and so I don't know that I'm going to buy any more of those. That's kind of ridiculous. Now, another lip liner that I do really like are the ones from Makeup by Mario. I really just discovered these a few weeks ago, and I think that these are performing really, really well. They remind me a lot of the Chanel lip liners that I also really like. Maybe they're not quite as good as the Chanel ones, but they are close. And even like the Chanel ones, they have a little brush on the end, so that is also very nice. And I feel like these are really terrific. And they do come in a wide variety of different colors, so that makes them fun also. And then in terms of lip liners that are more like the color of your lips, I do like the Glossier ones that were released a few months ago. I think those are really, really nice as well. In terms of lip crayons, I have long been a fan of these House Labs lip crayons called the Monster. I don't think they get nearly enough attention from people, and every time I wear them, I am really surprised at just how good they are. And they come in a variety of different shades, and all of the ones that I have used have been really nice on me, and they last for a long time, and they go on really easily. And sometimes I put a gloss or a balm over the top of them, but I don't need to, and I think these are really a nice product. And then other products from Sephora that are a little bit similar. There's one that is from Ilia that they're calling Lip Sketch. And I don't feel like I like those as much as these House Labs ones, but I do like those also. I think that they work especially well if I put something over the top of them. I don't think they work all that well on their own. I think that they wear off unevenly when I do that. And Pat McGrath has a new line of lip crayons that came out this year, and those actually last really, really well on my lips. They are slightly drying, but they wear really nicely, and they are not really drying, and I think the colors are nice, so I've actually really, really liked that product from Pat McGrath. And then I also am a fan of these lip crayons from NARS, and they come in a bunch of different colors, and they are not quite as drying as the NARS matte lipsticks, but they do give kind of a matte look that I think is very pretty, and I do enjoy using those a lot. But I do feel like I either need to really moisturize my lips before I put this on, and or put some kind of a balm over them. In terms of matte lipsticks, I think that hands down I will give this to the Merit matte lipsticks. So these are really, really nice in terms of how they feel on my lips, and I think that they do look like a matte lipstick, and they hold up pretty well. That is what I put on my lips today, and I do think that this is holding up pretty well for me. And the one that I'm using today is the one that is in the color Black Tie from the set, from the holiday set, and I think this is really, really pretty. So I'll put a little bit more of that on. And I really like the colors that they are offering, and I like the way that this formula feels. I think it feels very creamy. I think I like the way that it holds up. It doesn't have any kind of a taste at all to it, and it does taste really nice to me, and I don't mind licking my lips because I think that it feels fine to me. And sometimes I do hear from people that have said that some of theirs are broken, but all of mine have been fine. I haven't had any of them break at all. And then the other matte lipsticks from Sephora that I like, I do really like the Armani matte lipsticks. I think that it's hard for me not to give the award to Armani because I really, really like those very, very much. That's a very close second. And The other lipstick that I like are the NARS Power Matte lipsticks, so these will last on my lips forever. So if I am looking to look nice for a long period of time without having to worry about my lipsticks, then I think that these are the ones that will do the best job. And I can put a gloss or a balm over the top of them, and sometimes they still hold up really well. And in terms of cream lipsticks, I think I'll have to give it to the new NARS Explicit lipsticks. So these are refillable and they come in a bunch of different shades. And I think that this one has been really terrific for me. And it feels really good on my lips, and all of the colors that I've tried look really pretty. And I think that this is one that I can use on a regular basis. And I do want to use it on a regular basis. It feels really good. There's no kind of scent in it. And I think this is a real breakthrough for NARS, and I'm really happy that they have these lipsticks out now. And $40 for one of the lipsticks with the case seemed like it was a lot to me, but the refills are $25, and I think that that is a really much more accessible price point, so I'm kind of happy about that. And then other cream lipsticks that I really like. First of all, I do really like the Armani cream lipsticks. Now those are pretty shiny, and so if you're looking for something that's not quite so shiny, then I would suggest the matte version, because the matte versions really are just as comfortable, in my opinion, as the cream versions, but they don't have quite so much of a shine to them. And I also really like the Pat McGrath Satin Allure lipsticks. Now these are lipsticks that people tend to criticize because they think the packaging looks cheap, but they are a reasonable price point, and I think that the lipsticks themselves are really, really terrific in terms of how they feel on my lips, how they taste, how they perform, how they hold up on my lips. And in general, I just think that these are a really superior formula, and I'm really impressed. I never liked the matte ones, but the satin ones, they're really, really good. And recently I tried the new lipsticks from Sarah Creel, and those are quite expensive, but I did really like the one that I tried. And then in terms of lipstick balms, I really think that the satin lipsticks from Merit, that these really are more properly described as lipstick balms. They are low in pigment, and they have a kind of a sheer and glossy type of a base. And so I'm going to give them being the winner in the lipstick balm category. I really, really like these. They have a flavor listed on the ingredient list, but it is just raspberry oil, and they have held up really well for me, and I think that they look really nice, and they do look polished, but they also are really casual and comfortable and really fun to wear. And all of the shades are kind of on the muted, kind of slightly grungy side, and I really like that about them. I think they all look really good on me. And then another product that I like in this category are the Glossy Ultra Lips. That is actually one of my favorite products in general, and I think that those have held up really well too. I've had these for almost 3 years, and they are still holding on fine. I haven't had one of them that I haven't been able to keep using, and I think that they feel really good on my lips. They taste really good. They look really nice. There's a variety of different colors, and they've come out with some new colors that are super nice. So in general, I'm a big fan of those. And then there are 2 lipsticks that are really glossy, and they're in kind of tall containers. One of those are the Hourglass Phantom lipsticks, and then also the NARS Afterglow lipsticks, and I think that those are both nice formulas as well. And then the final category is liquid lip balms, and so the one that I have really liked that was released in the summer is the Edam Le Chouchou lip balms, and these have kind of the texture that the Summer Fridays lipsticks have, but in terms of how my lips seem to be doing with them, I think these are much better. In terms of how they look on my lips, I think they're much better, and in terms of the taste, I think that they are phenomenally much better. And so I am a really big fan of these, and when I wear them, I feel like I'm doing something nice for my lips, and I also think that they are really kind of fun to wear and very, very pretty. So I am a huge, huge fan of these. And then the other products that I listed here, I like the Westman Atelier Squeaky Clean Lip Balms in terms of being a nice moisturizing balm that does look very nice on my lips and that I can apply with the doe foot, which I think is very nice. And I also like the Merit Shade Slick. I think that that is a very pretty product and it does taste good to me, and I've used several different colors of that, and so I think that that is a nice product. And also House Labs came out with a line of lip glazes that I talked about in a video earlier this year, and I think that those are very nice. They're not quite as moisturizing as the other three products here, but they do have some nice moisturizing benefits to them, and in terms of looking like a lip gloss, I think that they are super pretty. So thank you very much for watching all the way to the end of the video. And if you agree with me or disagree with me about any of these products, then please let me know about that. In addition, if you haven't subscribed yet to the channel, then I hope you will go ahead and do that. And Coco and I love you very much, so thank you very much for watching. Goodbye. Dum dum.